Great. So let's get started. What exactly is going on here? Is this the greatest technological innovation and explosion of innovation since the mobile internet, or maybe even the internet itself? Or is this the greatest load of hype ever arranged around a technology in the history of technology? Both. And in fact, that's a characteristic of advanced technologies. I often say that where Bitcoin and the other open blockchains are today is approximately where the internet is in 1992. In terms of technology, in terms of infrastructure deployment, in terms of adoption patterns, this technology is approximately where the internet was in 1992. But the hype around blockchain is exactly where the hype around the internet was in 1998. You know what comes next. There will be a shakeout. When the waters recede, you can tell who on the beach wasn't wearing a swimsuit. They stand there naked. It's an empty promise. This will happen in the blockchain space. There is a lot of bullshit being peddled to VCs, to investors, to initial coin offering buyers, to uneducated investors. There's a lot of Ponzi schemes. There's a lot of pyramid schemes. There's a lot of empty promises. There's also a lot of business as usual disguised as innovation, disguised as disruptive technology. And so we're at this strange moment where the underlying technology really is, truly is, massively disruptive, massively innovative. The amount of research that's happening today in applied cryptography is unprecedented. We are looking at the largest civilian deployment of public key cryptography ever.
So everybody thinks, oh my God, if I put $1 in cryptocurrencies, I'm going to be a billionaire like in 5 years. And because because there's so much hype and there's so much bubble talk right now about Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies. So let me answer the question at a high level first. Cryptocurrencies are not a fad. They're extremely important. They're probably the most innovative thing to come out of Silicon Valley in the past 30 years, and that includes all the space stuff and electric car stuff and Google and everything. Like cryptocurrencies, when I kind of describe why that is, you'll see what I mean. The other thing is, on the opposite side, it's largely a scam. So many people are saying, there's all this bubble talk, like my cab driver wants to do an ICO or invest in Bitcoins. There's a lot of people who go into situations like that, and we saw it with the internet in the 90s, we saw it in housing in the middle O's, and we're seeing it now in the cryptos. There's a lot of people who go into the space and want to take advantage to basically get as much cheap and easy money as possible and leave the uninformed holding the bag. So how could that be? That it's both real and incredibly important, but I would say 95%, which is a big number, 95% a scam. Well, take a look at the internet. So the internet, huge gains from 1995 to 2000. Still, if you manage to invest in the internet in around 1996 or so and cash out in 2000, you don't need, that's the bulk of your wealth, and that's the bulk of the wealth you'll ever make. And yet, most internet companies that started in that period are gone. I mean, what's left? Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, Priceline. I can't think of too many others.
That's a great point,
I would say 1,000 companies were a scam. I mean, companies would just take their name and put .com at the end of it, and their stock would go up 500% that day. That's a scam. so when you use something, when the price of something goes up for artificial reasons, it's because so many people are being influenced by greed and the hype that, value doesn't change so quickly. And yet, during that period for the internet, during the 00s for real estate, and now for not all cryptocurrencies, but many, there's largely a scam. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the next evolution of how we solve. We're always trying to solve problems with money. Solving problems as a store of value and solving problems as a way to transact. That's why it's important to start building a portfolio, because the demand for money is $150 trillion, but there's only about $200 billion worth of crypto. So that's 1,000%, 100,000% gain right there. So
why should investors, though, really get involved in this now? Why is it such a good time for investors to get involved? A lot of people think, hey, maybe I missed the boat. Is that true? What do you think about that?
So that's two questions. I'll answer the second one first. Did they miss the boat? No. Now, it's true, all the gains of an innovative technology kind of happened in the beginning. So 1995 to 2000, you would have gained enormously if you invested in the internet. But it's not like the internet possibility stopped there. What happened after 2000? Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Airbnb, Google, went IPO'd after 2000. So I would say we're not in inning 0 anymore, but we're in inning 1. And huge gains are going to happen all the way up to inning 9, but the biggest gains are going to happen between inning 1 and inning 4. I don't know how you delineate the innings, I'm just using that as an analogy, but we're still early. And I'll tell you why we're early from a mathematical point of view. Again, what I said before, how much currency is in the world? 150 trillion. So that means the demand for money is $150 trillion. The world needs 150 trillion in money to survive. So, but all of that 150 trillion has all the problems I just described to you. Cryptocurrencies, which are only 200 billion, they solve those problems. So cryptocurrencies have to, and there's limited a number of them, so they have to rise in value to replace to handle the demand for money. The supply is low, the demand is high, price is just going to go higher. Your dad doesn't own any crypto, my parents don't own crypto. It's just the beginning, and there's many catalysts. There's catalysts that we don't yet know, but like one catalyst is, okay, Amazon at some point will start accepting cryptocurrencies. We know they will. At some point, the citizens of a country that's falling apart will say, hey, we don't want the XYZ currency anymore of our government. We're going to all switch to Bitcoin or crypto or whatever. And then at some point, a government itself will say, look, our default currency is now cryptocurrency. So there's at least those three catalysts, and then that's going to be, 1,000 times the value, of what we are currently seeing. Plus, there's going to be more use cases that we find, and that's going to create value. So,
Bitcoin isn't money. The blockchain isn't a system of currency. It is a platform of trust. It's not a company. It's not a product. It's not a service you sign up for. It's not a currency. Currency is just the first application. It is the concept of decentralization applied to the human communication of value. Bitcoin is the first system of money that is not controlled by any entity, that is completely decentralized. And what that does is it introduces the very same things that the internet brought to communication. If money is speech, if money is a language, and you disconnect it from all other media, and you make it pure speech, pure content, an internet content type, a protocol designation, money over IP, it completely separates it from all of these previous notions of nations, sovereign issuers, institutions that control. And so we go from institution-based money to network-based money. We're on the verge of creating the first completely global, completely borderless, completely decentralized, and completely open form of money. One where you can build applications because this money is programmable. And you don't need to ask anyone's permission to launch an application any more than you need to ask permission to launch an application on the internet. And the only requirement to have a successful application on the Internet of Money is 2 interested participants. That is your market segment, and you have an application. And 1 million applications will flourish. When you push innovation to the edges of the network, when you remove the requirement for permission, what happens? Exponential explosion in innovation. The applications that could not be built on the old systems of money because they required permission, because they required a significantly large market segment, because they required adoption by many in order to be available at all. Now, none of those requirements exist. Anyone in the world can download an application or use even a feature phone with text messaging and immediately acquire the same powers that institutions of banking have today. And when I say anyone, that's only scratching the surface. Because ironically enough, not only does Bitcoin and blockchain currency not recognize borders, it also does not recognize people. It doesn't matter if you're a person or a refrigerator or a self-driving car. Throughout the history of money, ownership of currency required personhood, either as an individual or as an association of individuals in a corporation. Bitcoin can be owned by machines. Bitcoin can be owned by software agents. Machines can pay each other. And that is not just about economic activity. It's the basis for market-based security systems. It's the basis for creating bonds of authentication between devices. It's the basis of new applications that have never been done before. Bitcoin and blockchain technology unifies the systems of money. Today we have systems of money for small payments, systems of money for large payments. We have systems of money for payments between individuals. We have systems of money for payments between companies. We have systems of money for payments between governments. Does that remind you of something? That's how communication used to be before the internet. We had systems of communication for pictures, systems of communication for letters, systems of communication for short distance and long distance, and the internet came and unified all of those. What the Internet of Money does is it creates a single network which can do a microtransaction to a gigatransaction in seconds, anywhere in the world, for any participant without permission. But if you just look at the application of money, you're missing the point. Because you can take the language, the building blocks of this platform, and use them to construct other languages that communicate value. Tokens, reward points, brand loyalty coins. Today there are over 1,000 digital currencies using the design pattern, the recipe of Bitcoin. Most of them are junk. Some of them are not. And over the next decade, we are going to see tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of coins. Some will have economic use, some will simply be expressions of loyalty, affiliation. They will represent items in the physical world, the title for a house, the controlling key for a car that can be transferred from one owner to another, and 5 seconds later that owner can step into the car and drive away because the car can validate the new standard of ownership. In Bitcoin, I control my money. I have complete and total authority over my Bitcoin. It cannot be seized, it cannot be frozen, it cannot be censored, my transactions cannot be intercepted, and they cannot be stopped. And I can do so with almost complete anonymity, and so can anyone 5 minutes after they download an application, and money has changed forever, and banking has changed forever. And it's not about anyone in this room. Why? We represent the privileged elite. I can go onto a brokerage account, open it up online, and be trading on the Tokyo stock market within 12 hours in yen. That is the privilege that I have. 1.5 billion people have that privilege. 6 billion people can operate mainly in one currency and perhaps have some basic banking services. 4 billion people are significantly underbanked, and an astonishing 2.5 billion people are completely unbanked. They will leapfrog. They will never have a relationship with a bank. Every single child born today will never have a bank account. They will have a bank app. A bank app that doesn't give them an account, a bank app that makes them a banker, an international banker in an app. They will not be permitted to open a bank account until they're 16 years old. By that time, I hope they will have at least 6 or more years of experience with digital currencies. And I would like to watch them walk into a bank branch to have someone explain to them what 3 to 5 business days means. The buying power of Bitcoin is determined in exactly the same way that the buying power of the euro, the British sterling, the Japanese yen, or the US dollar is determined through market forces of supply and demand in international liquid markets that operate around the clock. One of the fundamental differences is that Bitcoin trading never ceases. Has been going continuously for 7 years. The network never stops. Every 10 minutes, Bitcoin's heart beats, and transactions are processed. The supply of Bitcoin is determined algorithmically based on a geometrically declining supply function, meaning that in the beginning, every 10 minutes, 50 new Bitcoin are created. So every block, the heartbeat, 10 minutes, created 50 new Bitcoin. This Bitcoin is used as a reward in a game theory-based security model that ensures that every transaction is independently validated by completely anonymous actors who have to stake electricity as a guarantee of the security work they've done. And if they succeed in doing the security work of validating transactions correctly, they earn as a reward, based on a probabilistic return, that reward. 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. That's how currency is introduced into the economy. And the important thing to realize is that security in Bitcoin is an emergent property that exists because of the decentralization of control and power. If I want to hack 1 million customers' Bitcoin and they're holding their keys, I have to hack 1 million customers. If they all give their keys to one person or one organization, then we've got a honeypot. A honeypot that attracts the attention of every hacker on the planet. And notice what's happened. Over 7 years, and with a market capitalization of $12 billion, Bitcoin is the largest cryptographic deployment in the world, the largest public key infrastructure in the world, the largest security honeypot in the world. And it is not secure because it doesn't get attacked. It is secure because it generates immunity by being attacked all the time, 24 hours a day, by the most sophisticated attackers this planet has. Bitcoin has not been hacked and cannot be hacked because there is no point of control that you can apply pressure on. It's completely decentralized.